We will start History Chapter 2, New Kings and Kingdoms. Now we will understand the chapter with the help of the map. As you can see in the map, there were many kingdoms that were popular like Gurjara, Pratiharas, Rashtrakutas, Palas, Cholas and Chahamanas. Now let's talk about the emergence of new dynasties. By the 7th century, there were big landlords or warrior chiefs in different regions of the subcontinent. They were expected to bring gifts for their kings or overlords, be present at their courts and provide them with military support. Mahasamanta, Mahamandaleshwara means the great lord of a circle or region and so on. In the mid-8th century, Danti Durga, a Rashtrakuta chief, overthrew his Chalukya overlord and performed a ritual called Hiranyagarbha, which literally means the golden womb. Now let's talk about the administration during that time. Many of these new kings adopted high-sounding titles such as Maharaja Adhiraja, means great king, overlord of kings. Tribhuvana Chakravartin means lord of the three worlds, and so on. In each of these states, resources were obtained from the producers. These resources were used to finance the king's establishment. The functionaries for collecting revenue were generally recruited from influential families. Now let's talk about the prashastis and land grants. These prashastis were generally composed by the court poets in the praise of king. But it's not true. Prashastis contain details that may not be literally true. Kings often rewarded Brahmanas by grants of land. Unusual for the 12th century was a long Sanskrit poem containing the history of kings who ruled over Kashmir. It was composed by an author named Kallana. Now about warfare for wealth. You may have noticed that each of these ruling dynasties was based in a specific region. At the same time, they tried to control other areas. For centuries, rulers belonging to the Gurjara, Pratihara, Rashtrakuta and Pala dynasties fought for control over Kannauj. Rulers also tried to demonstrate their power and resources by building large temples. One of the best known of such rulers is Sultan Mahmud of Ghazni, Afghanistan. He ruled from 997 to 1030. He entrusted a scholar named Al-Biruni to write an account known as the Kitab al-Hind. Other kings who engaged in warfare include the Chahamanas, later known as the Chauhans. The best-known Chahmana ruler was Prithviraj III, who defeated an Afghan ruler named Sultan Muhammad Gauri in 1191, but lost to him the very next year in 1192. There were the famous warfare that happened during this medieval period. Now coming on to the South India forms the basis of this medieval period or the smaller kingdom of this time. Now the Chola kingdom was one of the most popular kingdom of this period. Now take a closer look the Cholas. Vijayalaya, who belonged to the ancient chiefly family of the Cholas from Uraiyur, captured the delta from the Muttarayar in the middle of the 9th century. He built the town of Tanjavur and a temple for goddess Nisumb Bhasudini there. Rajaraja I, considered the most powerful Chola ruler, became king in 985 and expanded control over most of these areas. Cholas were popular because of splendid temples and bronze sculpture. The big temples of Tanjavur and Gangaikonda Cholapuram, built by Rajaraja and Rajendra, are architectural and sculpture marvels. Chola temples often became the nuclei of settlements which grew around them. Amongst the craft associated with temples, the making of bronze images was the most distinctive work of that period. Now children, this region was popularly developed for agriculture practices also. Many of the achievements of the Cholas were made possible through new developments in agriculture. Although agriculture had developed earlier in other parts of Tamil Nadu, it was only from the 5th or 6th century that this area was opened up for large-scale cultivation. In many cases, it was necessary to water crops artificially. Most of the new rulers, as well as people living in villages, took an active interest in these activities. The administration of the empire is also very important. So let's see. Settlements of peasants known as Ur became prosperous with the spread of irrigation agriculture. Groups of such villages formed larger units called Nadu. We have seen that Brahmanas often received land grants or Brahmadeya. As a result, a large number of Brahmana settlements emerged in the Kaveri Valley, as in other parts of South India. Each Brahmadaya was looked after by an assembly or sabha of prominent Brahmana landholders. These assemblies worked very efficiently. Associations of traders known as Nagarams also occasionally performed administrative functions in towns. Now that's all about the chapter.